This is a neon clock that I built many years ago. It started out its life with an analog clock in there, but the analog clock circuitry failed. So I put in a clock that I had built from a kit many years ago. I put a switch on here so I can kill the neon. I've had this thing for forever. If you look at the display here, you'll see that the tens digit is not working properly, but if I just move it a bit, it'll kick in. So obviously there's a connection problem, and we're going to fix it. Now usually what goes wrong with this is the capacitors fail on the inverter board for the neon, but that's not the case this time. This time it is a problem with the clock itself. This is the power transformer for the neon. I put a switch on it. As you can see over here, this switch. I just used, it had a wall wart on there. I just used the wall wart and just stuck it down inside here with some tape, and it's powered with 12 volts DC for the inverter. The timepiece is over here. I don't know where the connection is, but I'm assuming it's probably on one of these pins down here. It could even be the IC that's come loose. I can pull the clock out of here. That's the nice thing about this, is I drilled the holes in here for all the LEDs, so I could just put the clock. This was a uni kit, a long time, built this one a long time ago. We're just going to plug it in, and I'll just do some troubleshooting to see if I can see where the problem is, get those digits working, and then get this one back into service again. So I'll kill some light so I can see what I'm doing, so I can see what's lighting up and what's not. As you can see, these segments up here are not lighting up, but if I press on the back of the board, they do light up. So I'm thinking either along this connector or along here where they're connected down to the main board. And I guess the best thing to do is probably just to resolder all of them. So I'll turn on the soldering iron and I'll unplug this unit, and we're going to go over all these connections here just to make sure that there's not a bad connection on one of them. The last thing I wanted to be doing was working on something like this in a hot shop today. It's 30 degrees outside today. It's hot as hell. It's like working in a sauna. It's 34 degrees right now according to the temperature in here. So I just want to do this quickly, just redo all these connections and get out of here as quickly as I can. I was going to do this as a live broadcast, but I couldn't be bothered setting up for it, so we'll just redo all these connections. This was a very early kit that I built. I built this kit probably 40 years ago. One of many LED clock kits that I built going way back. Seemed like every time a new chip came out for a different clock, I would build the kit. If one came out, and then put it in some type of enclosure. This one actually used to be in a little wooden box that I made, which ended up being the box that my Nixie clock is in. So we'll just do these ones as well, and then I'll test it, and hopefully that's all that's wrong with this one. Well, I'm pretty sure that's where the problem is, because when I push on the board, it works. So I get pretty confident that this is all it is. I just finished working a nice hot day today, no heat, dealing with some interesting troubles. I'm almost tempted to show you guys what I would consider to be one of the worst installs I've ever seen, but I won't, because for customer privacy, I don't want to show a picture inside their house. I did take a picture to show to my co-workers, so we could get a good laugh out of what a contractor did. How much of a mess he made, but let's just say he mounted their internet gateway right in the middle of their living room wall, and then put a what we call a headless PVR, plug that into it, and left that right in the middle of the wall too. If you can imagine a modem and a video PVR just stuck to the wall with Velcro, basically. A Velcro strap around it with some screws holding the Velcro to the wall, and then wrapping it with Velcro. So every time they walked past it, they bumped it and knocked it down. I had to rerun it all the way around the room to the other side because the guy that did it was just too bloody lazy to do the job right. Of course, on the hottest day of the year, to boot. Okay, let's just plug this in and see whether I have corrected the situation. I have not corrected the situation. Okay, where is the fault? It's got to be in here somewhere. If I flick the board up, it works. Is it on the chip? We still have a problem, as you can see. Interesting. Well, I got to take another look at this, I guess. In addition to those that aren't working, I've also got two LEDs that are shot. This one here is shot, this red one, and also this one is shot. In addition to these other ones that are no longer lighting up at all, even when I flex it, they're not lighting up. But I got two LEDs that are also toast on this board. Now we know the LEDs are toast because, as you can see, they're wired in series with each other. So there's three of them in series to make up a segment, and one of them is out. So one of these is dead. The other one's here. This is a common one, so this might be this common rail here, because you can see the two segments that are out are both fed from a common source, which is this one. I'm going to trace this one back and see where this one goes, because this is obviously the one that's open. This one here that's common is the third one. It's just this one here, and that's the third one, which should pop up right here, and it's not. So I'm going to jumper a wire right to that one and see if that fixes those segments. So third one over, right here. And we'll take this over to the common point, right over here. We'll see whether that fixes the two segments that are out. The individual LEDs that are shot, I'm not really too worried about those right today. I'll have to get some new ones. But you can see that I have now fixed the problem that was out here. We can read the display with the dead display, so that's not as much of an issue. Just with the two segments missing, it was kind of hard to read. So I'm going to leave this one as it sits right now because it's readable, and I don't have the LEDs to fix it anyway today. Put the board back in. It just sits in place like that, and then I put the top cover back on it and secure it in place with a couple screws. This is to protect the neon lamp, because if the neon lamp gets broken, well, the thing is in the garbage. Feed my power cord through here. See, at one time this had a plastic that you could reach through the back here to twiddle the dials on the analog quartz clock that was on here. But the problem with an analog quartz clock is that it's in proximity to high voltage for the neon, and that had a tendency to bugger up the clock so anyway, that's a long story. It looks much nicer as a custom made timepiece. Let me throw the screws back in. All right, the acrylic cover is back on. We'll put the light on in a minute here. Clock is working, and as is the light. This sits over top of my TV in my TV room, so it's a pretty important timepiece. Anyway, all done. Thanks for watching.